What's going on, everyone? It's Average THC Guy, and today I'm going to be telling the story of the White Trash Bash Crash. Before I start doing that, I would like to say sorry for the lack of uploads. Some shit has been going down recently, and I just have been busy and not able to make content, but I've gotten plenty of story material because your asses know that I'm not sober. So, anyway. If you are unfamiliar with fraternity culture, the White Trash Bash is a annual party where people dress in, well, white trash clothes. Whatever you think that looks like. It's mostly people take it as an excuse to dress like cowboys or something like that. But I didn't have much stuff like that, so I was trying to figure out what to wear. So I decided to pick a Bengals hat, or not a Bengals hat, a Bengals jersey, because, I guess that's trashy. And a like Jesus hat, like said saved or something like that. It was really fucking cringy. And I decided to wear that because that was probably the white trash. We go to the party and it's actually pretty bumping. There's a lot of people in the actual barn area. This was at a certain frat house. I'm not gonna say which one. You get the gist. So there was a barn and people were dancing inside. Everyone was outside. And you know what happens outside of frat parties? Everybody's just inhaling so much smoke. And, again, as I expected, a lot of people were dressed as cowboys, but 90% of the women there were just dressed in the exact same outfit, I swear to God. It was like a tank top, Daisy Dukes, and like a flannel button down, maybe a cowboy hat. But yeah, it was so if you're into that sort of thing, which why would you? It's disgusting. But yeah, that would be your kind of place. So anyway, we're just sitting on this like cinder block fire pit and talking to people who come by offering cigarettes. We were always those kind of people. And we were talking to the people around us and amongst ourselves. And as we were doing that, my friend Kevin found a Four Loko just sitting somewhere, and he drank all of it. And then he began to just become completely immobile. I'm talking complete fold. Just laying on the ground. People were offering him cups of water and shit. So we had to literally take shifts watching him so he didn't fucking die. And yeah, so I didn't say who I was there with. It was my friends Kevin, Kyle, Ned, and Jason. So those were the main four I was with. And so I'm talking with Ned, and I'm trying to get him to talk to girls because he doesn't do that very often. I was doing a little bit myself, probably getting out of my comfort zone a little bit, but he didn't want to do that. So I'm just saying, hey, you're a funny guy. If you can make her laugh and giggle, you can make it clap and jiggle. And he fucking laughed his ass off at that for, I swear to God, 3 minutes. I was just telling him it wasn't that funny, and he just kept on laughing. And so Kevin I think he had probably thrown up a couple times, and we were, was talking with, a group of girls who was sitting next to us. I offered them a cigarette. They said no. There was this couple who was sitting next to us that we talked to, very chill people, but the group of girls were assholes because they ended up calling me a weirdo as I left. But then, as the night goes on, we're just enjoying ourselves. We are, we had brought an e-rig, fuck ton of alcohol. I think we had Angry Orchards. We were drinking those, smoking that. We had a ton of wax. We had just gone to the smoke shop. And yeah, and I don't think we had flour. Maybe we had a little bit, but not a lot. And so, sparking out a cigarette here. So anyway, then we meet up with these two girls who would go on to uh cause a lot of trouble in my life, but we'll get into that another day. Their names were Molly and what should we call her? Sarah. So Molly and Sarah. And I had just met her like maybe twice before this. And so I still thought her name was something else, so I called her the wrong name and she had to correct me, which was kind of funny because I went on to have a big crush on her. But anyway, um, they were talking with my friend, we'll call him, what should we call him? Gary. So, talking with Gary, and Gary was always the type of guy to try to get me to have parties at my house since I have a pretty nice estate. And I would usually say no, probably out of fear of my dad catching us. But tonight, I was just the right amount of intoxicated. So he comes over and he's like, "Hey, we have a couple people at your house, maybe after party type thing." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, sure, let's do it." And then I'm hoping the girls come, but they end up saying they have to go home because, And so after that, there's not a whole lot of room in Kyle's car. So we decide that the girls will go first, they'll go home, and then me and Ned will wait and he'll pick us back up. And we were there for a fucking long ass time. Like, we saw a guy walking down the shoulder of the road because this was not that far from a main road. And two cruisers had pulled up. I swear to God, there were cops everywhere. There were cops outside the party. There were cops at the gas station, outside the frat house. There were cops patrolling the streets. They were in, and so we saw this one guy get stopped by these two cops, and we're thinking his ass is going to the slammer, but no, they let him off scot free. And so as we're waiting in the parking lot, we're just talking. I'm sitting on those little bumps they have in front of parking spaces. I don't know what they're called. And him and I are just shooting the shit. And then a guy is walking around the parking lot, kind of weird, definitely drunk. And we're just watching him, making sure he doesn't do some funny business on us. And then he goes up to his car, tries to open it, it's locked. Then he pisses on the tire and then just walks away. And we're laughing our asses off at that because, like, what the fuck? But then after a while, Kyle came back, and then we decided to go to our local late night drive through. It's called Cookout. You probably have one in your town. And so, yeah, it's open late, so all the college kids go there after parties, get drunk food. And so we got a massive fucking order, and then we go to leave, and I mean, obviously we did. There were five people, but we go to leave, and then we're in the left-hand turn lane, and this is a two-way road, and some guy is coming up on us. He's coming the opposite way, and we're like, yeah, the guy's driving kind of weird. He's like swerving a little bit. And then as he gets closer and closer, we realize he's swerving onto the wrong side of the road and he's going to hit us head on. So Kyle, thinking on his feet, swerves into the other lane and he hits the tail end of our car, taking out the headlight, the whole bumper. It was a fucking mess. And then we pull to the side, the car screeching like a motherfucker. And as we do that, Kyle gets out of the car screaming, "What the fuck?" And then the guy, he tries backing up in the middle of the road. Bad idea. Then he goes forward, and we think he's going to run. So we're like, fuck, man, we just got in a hit and run, and we're all a little bit fucking faded. So, fuck. And then we, maybe a couple minutes later, he comes around this road. It's this little like strip mall. That's where we pulled into, and he comes around the other side and pulls up next to us. Once he gets out of the car, we can tell this guy is drunk as a skunk. And he's like, "I didn't hit you, man," and shit like that. And we're like, "Dude, you took out the whole fucking back bumper. Of course you fucking hit us." He's like, "Man, I was on the yellow line. I don't know what you're talking about." And we're like, "You're not supposed to be on the fucking yellow line, man. That's where you're not supposed to be." And then he makes a judgment call and he decides to call the cops. And the cops arrive for such the fucking police presence. Of course, I got there almost immediately. And I'm tweaking because we know that our driver was not terribly fucked up, of course not as much as the other guy, but he was a little inebriated. And the cops are here and we just got in a crash. So they're gonna wonder who's at fault. And then this guy, you know, they we tell him what happened. Kyle tells him what happened, but we hear through, we're sitting in the car at this time, and I'm texting Gary, and I'm like, "Hey, we can't have the after party. We got in a crash. I probably won't even be home tonight." And so the cops all ask us for our IDs, and I was tweaking because my ID was in the 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 pocket on the car seat in front of mine, and in that pocket was also some blunt wraps. And Kyle's fucking ID was in the front pocket of his backpack that had the e-rig, that had the wax, that had all the fucking beers and empty beers. And so I'm like, please, for the love of God, be in the front pocket. And he's like, yeah, it's in the front pocket. So I breathe a sigh of relief, hand him all our IDs. No, nothing to write home about. And then they asked me to step out of the car. And they can probably tell that I'm a little bit drunk, a little bit high. And so I just decided to bite the bullet, and I'm like, hey, I got to make it clear I was not driving. I do have a DUI. I got it last year for smoking weed and driving. And they're like, okay, glad you weren't driving. And after that, they allow Kyle's cousin to pick us up and take him back to Kyle's house. Because I, I don't think I could have convinced them to drive me all the way out the 20-minute drive to my house. So his cousin takes us back, and while we're there, Kyle's just talking with the police, getting everything squared away. I decide to take a fat ass dab. And so, but it was a tightrope getting that shit back to his house because we had to get the backpack out. I was praying to God as we walked away the cops wouldn't ask to search it, which they didn't. And so we got it back, and I'm like, okay, let's take a deep breath. And so I take a fat dab, blow it out the window, and I don't think we got to bed that night till 3, 4 a.m. and slept probably till 1. And then I figure it's probably a good time to tell my dad about all this once I woke up the next morning, or afternoon, I guess it'd be. And I said, Dad, we got in a crash. The other guy was drunk as a skunk. And seriously, he was. Like, he was drinking in the car. There were beer bottles in his car. And he was breathalyzed, DUI test, the whole 9 yards. And so Dad says, okay, I'll come pick you up and I'll take you home. And so he did. And I told him all about the crash and what had happened. And I, assured him that Kyle was not impaired. And so he drops me back off the house. Probably just got violently stoned. And after that, no court appearances, no nothing like that. The guy had excellent insurance, so they covered all that. And Kyle got a pretty nice payout, which he used to get a very nice car. Fucking, it's a piece of work, that fucking car. It's great. And so, it is a masterpiece. Anyway, so yeah, we had done that, and now he has this great car that we always ride around in, and yeah, so it actually turned out rather well for us. Nobody got hurt, no trips to the hospital, which it probably could have been if he hadn't thought as fast as he did. And yeah, so the moral of the story is, I trust Kyle with my life in a car, even if he is violently inebriated. And yeah, so if you all have that one homie that you trust to drive, even if he is, very, very much impaired, let me know down in the comments. Let me know your stories because this one was a hell of one, probably my longest one to date. Anyway, this is Average THC Guy, and I will see you next one.